Welcome to the Media Bubble Podcast, the podcast that talks about movies, anime, comics, video games, and whatever we feel like. I'm your host, Karol, and with me as always is my co-host, Fredrik.
Hello, Karol, and in today's episode we're going to talk about the 2009 stop-motion animated film Fantastic Mr. Fox. Karol, was it fantastic?
It was pretty good. It kept me thinking throughout the day after I've seen the movie, just trying to piece together like symbolism and maybe if there was something like deeper beneath the layers of the story.
Why are you always trying to do that?
It's what I do. I like dissecting stuff.
Okay, but before we start talking about the film, I'm just going to go a little bit on the background. Fantastic Mr. Fox the movie was based on Fantastic Mr. Fox the book, which is written by Roald Dahl. I'm not sure how that is pronounced, maybe.
I think it was good enough.
Okay, and he has written some other famous children novels like James and the Giant Pea, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, the BFG, and some others, Matilda, and of course the one we are going to talk about today, Fantastic Mr. Fox, which is also this film is also directed by Wes Anderson, which has directed films like Bottle Rocket, Rushmore, The Royal Tenenbaums, The Grand Budapest Hotels, and another stop-motion animated film, Island of Dogs, and his newest, The French Dispatch. And Wes has a very unique style, you can say, which we are probably going to get a little bit on later.
It feels very like Americana, but through like an eye like of what can you call like nostalgia and like glamour. You know what I mean?
It kind of feels like a children novel you were read to when you were like 5. Put into a movie.
Exactly.
I can also say this. I have seen this film 2 times before. I also watched it earlier to this day when this is recorded. And it was me that wanted to make this episode because this animated film is known as one of the best animated films out there. It usually ranks pretty high on top animated films list, like in the top 10 and things like that. So it's a very critically placed film. While I have seen it a couple of times before, Karol watched it for the first time yesterday, right?
Yes, so I mean, as I mentioned before recording, I'm kind of glad we saw the movie quite early to the recording, where we both had it fresh in our minds. But when, as you said, you've seen it 3 times total, I feel like I could go for another go just to like see that if I can reinterpret some of the movie with the now knowledge of seeing it prior time, if I can notice more details. Like, I feel like one time isn't enough to see it.
Yeah, it's a very... there's very much detail in this film. Like, one thing we said before, but Wes Anderson has such an unique style that you kind of want to see it again, I guess.
Yeah, I've seen a comment online saying that Wes Anderson makes the world in his stories feel like an actual world, like a complete place. And I can see that because it feels like even away from where the action takes place, I can imagine like more of the world.
Yeah.
Even if we don't see it.
I can might as well explain this, but something that he does very usually in his film. In this film, for an example, he doesn't use a lot of some colors because it creates a special feelings. Like this film has no green at all in it and very limited blue. So usually what most colors he used for this film is like orange kind of tone, some brown, yellow, red, mostly orange I feel like, but very warm colors for this film, which is to create a feeling of kind of what autumn and
Warmth?
childhood memories, I guess. And another thing that I also noticed while watching his films is that how he uses his camera is that the camera, you know how in live action film the camera like moves with the characters. His films doesn't really do that.
Yes.
He usually has the camera still, so that it doesn't move. The characters move in that frame that he has in the still, but usually the camera doesn't move that much, because it moves a couple of times, like right to left, and it zooms in and out sometimes, but usually the camera stays still and it clips from scenes to scene. And also another thing that I also noticed is his characters is usually, or the main focus of the frame, it's usually put almost always put in the center of the screen, like smacked right in the middle. And another thing which kind of creates a unique thing is that almost all of some things that he films sometimes is very close up. Like if he was showing you a clock, then the clock almost is the entire screen, you can say. So that's some things that I noticed today, Karol.
Yeah, but I saw them as well. For example, there was a scene where Mr. Fox was breaking in to one of the first places together with his pal, doing the three final heists that he described. And just as you said, the camera kind of stayed in one place. It moved to the right, and then it only changed once the guys enter a new scene. And I think that added a lot to like the playfulness of the movie, because it felt like a little bit like dolls in a dollhouse trying to act out these scenarios.
Yeah. One thing that scenes that I found really interesting actually is sometimes when they are having a close-up on Mr. Fox's face, and you can see his fur moving like in the wind and things like that, and it's just such a unique detail in this kind of film, which I don't really see a lot in stop motion animated films, to be honest.
It definitely felt more alive because of all these small details.
But now we have gone through all kind of
initial thoughts,
technical things which I originally thought that I would talk about in the end of the video, but I put it in the beginning instead. So maybe we should talk about the plot instead, Karol. Do you want to explain the plot?
As always, it's a pleasure. So, Fantastic Mr. Fox is a story about Mr. Fox. He is a career criminal who, with his love interest, is stealing chickens and squabs for a living. Unfortunately, it all changes once his fiancée, whose name is Mrs. Fox.
No, and it's not Mrs. It's Felicity Fox.
Felicity, all right, but she is voiced by Meryl Streep, which I was just shocked to hear once I saw the IMDb page.
Yeah. One thing is that there are a lot of celebrity names, but you kind of forget that it's the celebrity who voices them, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, you just focus on the story and plot and the animation. You don't really notice them. At the same time, if we look at the advertisement for Mr. Fox, I never really felt like they advertised their star-studded cast.
Like Foxy Fox or Mr. Fox. He's voiced by George Clooney, which is one of the most famous people alive. But you completely forget that it's George Clooney.
Can we say how natural it felt for him to be the voice actor of Mr. Fox?
Yeah, he was a really perfect choice for it.
Yeah, he just like killed this suave, gentlemanly, not Phantom Thief, but just like upper class gentleman. But as we said, they were stealing chickens. Back to the plot.
Yeah, back to the plot.
And once Felicity mentioned that she was pregnant, she begged Foxy to finally find a career so they will not endanger themselves. Mr. Foxy promises that, and we have a time skip of 12 years.
Or 2 human years.
Exactly. We find that they have a son named Ash, and they have also a cousin that's staying over named Christopherson.
Yeah.
And Mr. Fox is unhappy with his life.
His work now, he works at a newspaper and writes columns.
Which seldom anybody reads. So he is unhappy with his life, and he mentions that he feels poor living on the ground, which is what's usual for foxes. He also has still dreams of stealing poultry, and by chance, he trying to find a better house, he finds one situated in front of the 3 major poultry
farmers,
factories.
I think.
Exactly. And he hatches this plan that this will be his magnum opus. He will steal and poach and grab whatever he wants from all these 3, and then his career will end, I suppose.
The 3 farmers, they have each something different on their farm. The first farmer, Bogus, is a chicken farmer. The second, Bounce, is a duck and goose farmer, and the third one, Bean, is a turkey and apple farmer, and the apple is used to make cider, which later on in the film is a really cool visual scene with all the cider glasses, which kind of reflects. And these 3, do you remember that they also had a little bit of a jingle?
I didn't. I focused more of their quirks. But what was their jingle?
They explained it as something as the human children came up with, and it was kind of like a kind of mean-spirited song against Bogus, Bounce, and Bean.
Oh yeah, because they were straight up evil.
Kind of. Yeah, they go really far to catch this fox. But
yeah, I mean, like when you think about it, Foxy, he's just a fox. He stole like 1 chicken, a goose, some alcohol, but they straight up wanted to detonate his home and endanger every single like living animal just out of spite.
Yeah, exactly.
Like these were bad eggs.
What he didn't even steal that much. But anyway, back to where we were in the plot. They move into this house. Mr. Christopherson comes to live with them. Let's see here. They also get what's his name? What was he, a gopher or?
No. He is. Kylie?
Let's see.
He was the possum, right? He was the groundskeeper, and
yeah, he was
got roped into with Foxy into the ceiling stuff.
He kind of came with the house, you can say.
Yes, he was just. Yeah, he was a groundskeeper turned friend turned bank heist buddy.
Yeah. He became Mr. Fox's right hand man.
Yeah, for a good reason. He was so dependable.
Mr. Fox also buys the house from let's see here, Clive
Mr.
Badger, which is voiced by Bill Murray.
Another star-studded cast member. So they buy the house, and once they're settled in, Mr. Foxy is out again, trying to relive the thrill of stealing. So they do it. They break into the first chicken farm. They steal what they can. The possum friend, he can't even chew through Chicken's neck because he's a possum. And then they made a speedy recovery, and they sneak into a house with their with their spoils. The problem is that Felicity, she starts seeing poultry that was not there from the night before, and she sees the lies that her husband is telling her. And it continues, because once Foxy got the feeling for stealing, he does it again, and the next night there's more chicken that was there that suddenly appeared.
Yeah, or duck,
she gets a feeling, okay. Yeah, or ducks, and she gets the feeling that something is wrong, that my husband is stealing again. And in the meantime, we have a side plot with Ash and Kristofferson, because Ash is feeling insecure that Kristofferson knows karate and he is good with girls, and he's not being picked on by bullies at school.
Like, Mr. Kristofferson is like a character which he does everything perfect, you can say. He's a really nice guy, but he does everything perfect, which Ash doesn't feel like he can do. So he somewhat wants the approval of his dad in a way. So it annoys him that Mr. Kristofferson is so perfect.
Yeah, I mean, Kristofferson, he knows karate, he can meditate, he's a star athlete, and he also got the girl that Ash fancied.
Yeah, I guess so.
So basically...
Or at least was his friend.
Yeah, but, I mean, you've seen the movie. He certainly felt angry that Kristofferson was hanging out with his friend, not girlfriend, as they weren't together.
What was it? The first scene where she appeared, she was looking at Kristofferson, and Ash was kind of like, "You're supposed to be my lab partner." "I am." "No, you're not."
"You're disloyal."
Yeah.
I think it punctuated that Ash was in... what's your feeling about Ash? Because I felt like he was spoiled, but also that he maybe is neurodivergent, which kinda excuses his behavior, or at least explains it.
I don't know, I just kind of felt like he was a kid, a teenager, someone that tries to find out who they kind of are. I didn't really find him annoying, maybe because his voice was kind of smooth, but I don't know. I was kind of okay with Ash. Usually I'm not the biggest fan maybe of these kind of characters, but I don't know, there was still something likable with him, I felt like.
Yeah, like he wasn't grating, and he had like a reason for his actions, and he wasn't like intentionally cruel. I think there was one scene where you could... I mean, do you remember the scene where Kristofferson cried because he was away from his father and in the room, and he was sleeping under the train set?
Yeah, I remember that.
So instead of ignoring, even though Ash was such an asshole to him the entire day, he still sat with him and comforted him in his own way with using the train set. So even though that he was maybe misunderstood and feeling really low in himself and thus lashing out on his family, he still had those redeeming qualities which made him still likable.
Yeah. Ash also really wants the kind of approval from his dad, which his dad has always kind of been a fantastic fox, you can say. Like there was a shot where a trophy was shown where Mr. Fox had won the trophy in like 8 years in a row or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a lot of to work. Like that's a lot of pressure.
What was that game even called?
I have no idea. I just remember the pine cones and running and things being set on fire.
I remember that the coach was voiced by Owen Wilson.
I didn't even catch that. I only seen him on the cast list.
Yeah. As
Like,
we said before, you kind of forget who voices who.
But going back to Mr. Fox, he is planning his final heist to the most dangerous farm, which is what was his name again?
Bean.
Yeah. So Bean or Mr. No, that's Mrs. Bean. I'm looking at this.
You can't really put a Mister in front of that name.
Exactly. So,
Bean has a cider farm.
Exactly. He has those specialty developed apples that have stars on them. And he has smoked chicken, and a lot of the old dudes had quirks. So like the first one ate like 6 chickens a day. The other one was eating like donuts stuffed with duck liver, and the final man was just drunk. No, he was
drinking a lot of cider.
Exactly, and he was also a really good sharpshooter. So they enter the scene, they sneak in, they sleep the dogs with laced blueberries because beagles love blueberries.
That was actually in the chicken farm, but anyway.
Sorry. And they sneak into the cider storage where they meet.
Excuse me, I just want to mention that in this final farm heist, Ash wanted to join his father on this heist, but his father straight said, "No, you're too young." But instead, he takes Mr. Christopherson's with him because he has noticed that he has he has athletics abilities, you can say.
Yeah, which only shows that Mr. Fox doesn't really care. Okay, so like the heist going right is more important than the children's safety. Like he didn't take Ash with him because it's dangerous and he could be like killed. No, he didn't take him because Ash sucks.
Yeah.
Which is awful if it's your own dad.
But anyway, we come into this cider. What's the name of cider storage? Yeah, we can call it that.
Yeah, it was. It was like a cider cellar, but
yeah,
it's pretty much the same.
Cellar. And this scene, the light reflections that you get from these cider glasses was so wonderful, magical in some way.
I feel it was one of your favorite scenes.
Yeah, it really lighted up, you can say. But in this cider storage, they also get their first encounter with a rat, who is a rat, and is voiced by William Dafoe.
Oh my god, he was! Why is William Dafoe playing so many villains?
Actually, of all the voice cast that I was surprised was in this movie, that might honestly been the name that I was most surprised about.
Yeah, like I see he played, but I didn't like.
There was nothing in that voice that told me that was William Dafoe.
Which only props to him. Like this is like a voiceover work, and he really put his all into it.
But anyway, they managed to steal some cider, and these 3 farmers, they get angry because the fox has stolen from them, so they want to get the revenge. So they try to shoot Mr. Fox, which they only managed to shoot his tail. So his tail gets... So Mr. Fox doesn't have his tail anymore, but... do you want to say something, Karol?
I wanted to mention, or at least I wanted to see if you would mention it. As the tail is shot off, one of the most violent one is using his tail as a handkerchief,
Yeah, kind of
whatchamacallit?
mocking him in some way.
Which is straight up awful, since when you consider that in one of the later scenes you can clearly see like humans and animals communicate.
Mm,
Like, people in this universe know that that some animals are sentient,
yeah. There's
and
some
they're still doing it.
except for chicken and ducks, I guess, because they are acting kind of normal.
And beagles.
Yeah. The dog beagles. Yeah,
It's a weird
mm.
feeling, because as you said, like chickens, dogs,
Yeah. The
or I
animals
mean,
are anthropomorphic, and they aren't anthropomorphic in that way that just animals understand other animals, but the animals understands the humans, and the humans understand these animals, which uh, sometimes in the film the animals suddenly gets their animals instincts into them, especially when they're eating something. But otherwise, they're kind of like how humans are, I guess.
I wanted to. I mean, because in a way, the way that the animals. I know I'm skipping a lot of the movie, but the way the animals at the end, at the final fight, when they were trying to find Christopherson, the way they solved it was through tapping into their animalistic nature.
Mm.
So, in a way, I'm trying to get somewhere, but I don't think I
I'm
got
a
a
wild
point.
animal, baby.
Exactly. So, we know that these are animals. They solve their problems through being animals.
Mm.
So, but they're talking.
Yeah.
I don't know where I'm getting at. It tripped me up, man, okay?
Okay, let's just move on. Just in that case, this new house that Mr. Fox had gotten is blown up by these three farmers, and so Mr. Fox, his family, and his sidekick begins to um, dig underground as far as possibly they could, while these three farmers are trying to get them out and blow up even more ground, so the other animals get affected by this.
But how did it work? Did all of the animals live under the same hill? Or was it
No,
just
not the
that?
same hill, but I think the three farmers blew up so much that it started to affect where the other animals lived.
Because I felt like they started like they started also targeting all the other animals because of what Mr. Fox
Mm.
did.
Uh,
But maybe that wasn't the case. Maybe it's just like you said, the destruction of their home started affecting everyone
yeah,
else.
that's how I understood it anyway. And also
Yeah,
one thing is
and
that at first it was just the three farmers, but then they started to get all of the workers from their farm to help them out to catch this fox. So they were like almost 100-person team trying to get these foxes.
yeah, which felt unnecessarily cruel.
Yeah, but I guess that was kind of
And
the
also,
point.
let's not forget also, these foxes can talk and tell you that they're hurt,
Mm,
and they still goddamn did it.
yeah. So, but something that these animals realize, or Mr. Fox realize, is that if all of the workers are if all of the workers are trying to get them, that means that the three farms are completely empty. So Mr. Fox is trying, and his animal bodies are stealing all they can from these three farms while the workers are away, in this movie's only song, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, the film never wanted to be a musical.
Mm. Uh, well, one thing that I found amusing with the song is that the singer sometimes just blabble words and it doesn't make sense. But at the end of the song, the head farmer comes to this worker and how was this phrased? What are you singing? I don't know. I just came up with the words on the spot, and the farmer says to him, "That's bad songwriting. You have written a bad song."
Yeah, which only highlighted how evil the guy was. Like, they're just having fun. Let them have fun.
You have written a bad song.
Like, and then later on in the movie, he smashes his goddamn bike as well.
Mm. So,
but
yeah, you can go on, Karol.
Yeah. So continuing from the song, Mr. Fox understands that everyone is gone, and they sneak into the respective farms, and they steal as much stuff as they can gather, just so that they can feed everyone down at the burrow, because they were being starved by the main bad guys. So they get all the food, but as they've been stealing, it happens to be that not only Kristofferson is missing, since they were trying to get back their father's tie.
Their father's tail.
Yeah, tail.
The tie is the one that the union is wearing, Karol.
I mean, yes, but the tie is the tail.
Yeah. Ash and Mr. Kristofferson goes away a bit of time to get his father's tie or tail back. But
you said the same thing.
Shh. But that doesn't go so well. So Mr. Kristofferson gets kidnapped while Ash goes back to his father, while his father and family has this dinner where
Exactly.
Mr. Fox tried to say we managed to beat them. We did it.
Yeah.
We won the war.
As if.
And then a lot of cider comes in and drags them away.
If this was a darker show, if this was a darker movie, they would have drowned in the cider.
Mm.
I also thought, I mean, I was saying, if this was a darker show, that there would be a lot more damaged, since it was described that the cider is like, it's like gold, it's like molten gold. It burns into your stomach and it's really potent. But yeah, nothing came out of it like that. I'm kind of happy.
Yeah. So what kind of happens next is that they are going on a rescue mission, you can say.
But before we go for a rescue mission, Mr. Fox wanted to do a sacrifice mission.
Oh yeah, correct.
Yeah, because he thought that, like, if he sacrificed himself, it would all be gone. But then they understood that they need to rescue Kristofferson because he's still locked up, God knows where.
Yeah, the rat also comes back and is beaten by Mr. Fox, and yeah, the rat even dies when I think about it.
Yeah, he gets, like, electrocuted to death.
Yeah.
Brutal.
And his last thing of, why did you do this? For the cider.
Yeah.
Which was okay, yeah.
I mean, we have talking animals. It's not out of the realm of possibility for them to hire a rat to be the bodyguard for the cider, and they could pay them in alcohol. So it kind of works.
Yeah. There's also a scene where Mr. Fox is kind of feeling bad for himself behind, and they're in front of this waterfall, which was a little bit distracting if I'm being honest. But anyway, that's kind of where the scene where he kind of explain of to his wife of, "Why did you do this?" "Well, I'm a wild animal. And I wanted to feel young again, I guess."
I mean, I don't feel it was because I wanted to feel young again. It's because he had, as Mr. Fox explained, he has this pathological need.
Actually, it was because he wanted people to see him as this fantastic Mr. Fox, which is the title of this movie. He wanted to be seen as this guy,
this grander than life.
Yeah, that is amazing at everything that he does, I guess.
And that's why I wanna go back a little bit, because I've mentioned that I was suspecting Ash to be neurodivergent because his mother kept telling him he was special, and there were some hints about him going to school in inappropriate clothes, him being rude to people and not understanding it, and then he had this recollection on, hey, maybe I am special, and he started to try to work on it. I feel like he might have gotten this from his dad, if I am correct. That this is also some kind of tick for Mr. Fox to try to be this Mr. Fox all the time. Because even though he even has an actual tick, his snap of the finger, and I feel that's an actual tick. But maybe I'm looking at this wrong. What do you think?
Sometimes I feel like you overthink something sometimes.
That's me.
But it is probably true of why Ash want to impress on his father is because he is this fantastic Mr. Fox, and yeah, you have some point in what you're saying.
Because they have this similar condition of trying to be greater than life, maybe.
But anyway, let's get to the rescue mission where all the animals throws, I guess, some kind of a bomb at the farmers, and there comes a lot of smoke made of, or there comes a lot of fire and smoke, and Mr. Fox and his sidekick and Ash, they take a motorcycle and they are rescuing Mr. Christopherson at the Beans farm. And at Beans farm they meet this beagle dog who has rabies. And this is also kind of the scene where Ash kind of meets Christopherson, and he explained he kind of has made some reflections upon himself, that he wanted to impress his dad and he wanted to be as fantastic as Mr. Christopherson was, but maybe that instead of focusing on others, then that he should realize that he himself is fantastic in his own kind of way.
And then they break out Christopherson out of prison.
Okay.
No, I agree, because I think it was because of Christopherson he realized that he actually shouldn't, that he is already special, so that's and he should work on himself if he wanted to be good. And he was a star athlete, as he said. He dodged those bullets that were shot at him incredibly well. Hello, he kind of saved almost everyone at the end.
Yeah, that was kind of the scene where he showed that he was the son of his father, you can say.
So, things are wrapping up. Our main heroes are scurrying away on a motorcycle.
Yeah, they escaped the farm after the farmers tried to attack them, but the farmers ran away from the beagle who had rabies, so Mr. Fox, in the meantime of that, escaped.
Exactly. Things after they've successfully scurried away, it's been revealed that the animals are still hiding out in the underground sewer system
No,
as he
actually,
did.
before that, there is something that I want to talk about, and that is while Mr. Fox and the other foxes are riding home on this motorcycle, they see a wolf, and while we haven't really talked about the wolves in this movie, but it's previously mentioned that Mr. Fox has kind of some weird phobia against wolves.
Which is funny because he desires to be more in touch with his wild side, which like a wolf represents.
But yeah, a wolf shows up in the end of the film, and he is kind of like an animal wolf. He is a kind of an anthropomorphic wolf, and I don't know what does really happen there. Mr. Fox.
They just touch base.
Yeah.
Like they just say hi to each other.
Yeah, kind of.
And share a fist up.
Yeah, kind of. Anyway, after that scene.
No. Wait. Let me talk because I wanted to talk about this scene too.
Oh, okay. Excuse me, Karol. Excuse me then. Sorry.
So, as I mentioned, because this scene was what kept me up the longest. Why introduce his phobia of wolves if if he wants to be so in touch with the wild side? And I think at the end of the movie, after the heist, after the rescue mission, after saving Christopherson, after showing everyone what they did, I feel that at this time Mr. Fox felt most in touch with his wild side. And with the scene with the wolf, as I said, the wolf symbolizes the wild side. It's the untamed. It's the dangerous. And by showing kinship, he feels like this is what he wanted. He wanted to feel free. He wanted to feel wild. He wanted to feel like an animal, and he did.
Out of all the theories you have had, Karol, I think this might probably be the one that is most true.
I hope so. I just like shooting things and see if I hit anything.
No, it actually sounded kind of correctly.
But anyway, I will let you continue.
No, but as you kind of said before, the animals goes. Mr. Fox and his gang goes back to the other animals, and the other animals are still living underground. And I guess they are going to keep living underground.
Yeah, which sucks. Like, sure. Well, at the end of the day, these farmers, they're magnates. They have power, they have money, they have influence.
Yeah, they will not stop hunting these animals. So the animals in this sewer system is getting different rooms, and they are starting to live there, and the only problem with them living there is that there probably will be a food problem.
They'll starve.
Yeah, they will starve.
Yeah,
But Mr. Fox at the last scene of the film finds a solution to that problem, and that is one of the sewers goes directly up to a supermarket store.
A supermarket.
Yeah. Which is owned by these three farmers.
Which I feel like was really funny, since they've been the one to kick them out of the home. They've been the reason that they lost everything. But at the end of the day, they can at least fight back and steal enough to survive, and like just show it up their ass by stealing anything they want.
Yeah, and that's
like the final oof.
Yeah. And at the last scene of the film, they are doing a little dance, the animals. Felicity tells Mr. Fox that he's pregnant once again. And then the movie kind of ends.
The end.
Yeah, the end.
And they live under the supermarket until even today.
Okay, Karol. What did you feel about this film?
It was pretty good. When I was watching it, the time just flew by. I just sat down, I watched it, and I feel like I want to see it again.
what did you think that this was going to be for a film before you watched it?
I had no expectations.
Nothing.
Nothing. I've seen few screen caps of the movie on Twitter, but other than that, I just knew that it was nice looking. It has Wes Anderson in it, and it had a suave fox as a main character. Like, I thought that there would be more drama. I thought that he would, that Felicity would divorce him, that there would something be happening to his son, or that he would sacrifice himself at the end. But no, he didn't. It was kind of an okay ending.
Karol, it's based on a children's novel.
Yes, but have you seen like Grimm's Tales? Like, people die in those.
Grimm's Tales. Let me search for that quickly.
Like, or just any classic standard German tale where there's like a finger eater and he will eat all the naughty kids
Karol,
when they don't wash their hands.
Karol, this is fairy tales. Fairy tales are known for being kind of dark, but children novels from the 90s, they were you can't compare old fairy tales to children's novels from the 90s, Karol.
Have you read the original tale?
What did you say?
Have you read the original book?
Oh, I know about the original tales of some of Grimm's works. They are somewhat, or they are really dark sometimes. Like Disney is kind of known for making changes to, or adapting these old fairy tales, and the stuff that they put out. There's a really good reason why they don't include certain things from these old fairy tales.
But okay, so for example, have you heard of Watership Down?
Yeah, I own it.
Yeah, and that's gruesome. Like, bunnies die.
Yeah.
On screen.
Okay, I will say it's like this. They're all children novels that end tragically. Most, I feel, try to take some positive anyway. But something that I noticed with you, Karol, is that you always are trying to give me the examples that are like, if they are like 100% of something, then you are trying to point out to me the 3% that are different.
But that means it's not 100%, it's 93.
Yeah, well, anyway. What I thought of the film, I found it really entertaining. I knew that this film before I watched it was like so critically praised, so I wondered what was kind of in this film. And what I found was a unique styled film with a camera work and things like that I found really unique. The look of the film is something else. And it's a fun, unique story, and I don't know, it's just so easy to enjoy this film, I gotta say. Like, you're swept into this world, and you're kind of just enjoying the ride, and it's really fun and entertaining.
I also have to add, it's also entertaining. I feel like it could be entertaining for the whole family. Like, I can plot, I can scheme, and I can try to figure out like a deeper meaning behind it all. But I also feel like I can show it to my niece, and she'd be fine with seeing it because it's talking animals doing fun stuff, like exciting scenes.
I would say I actually like this film a lot. I would say if I would give it something, I would say 9 out of 10. But I can't really come up with something really that negative to say about the film. Like, I could probably nitpick some things, but nothing major.
I feel like I would have like, yeah, I feel I agree with you. I have some nitpicky things, but it doesn't ruin the enjoyment of the movie for me. Like, I also would give it 9 out of 10.
So this was the Media Bubble podcast episode about Fantastic Mr. Fox. Karol, do the outro.
Yep. As always, we whoop.
What was that?
Why do I mess it up? As always, thank you all for listening, and we hope you enjoyed it as much as we have. Don't forget to follow, hit that bell icon, or follow us on socials like Twitter. See you again in the next episode, and have a wonderful day.